respiration. In the two types of respiration we saw, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Today we are going to see further how the respiration takes place in plants. Till now you have only heard that plants does the process like photosynthesis, takes in carbon dioxide and gives out oxygen. No one knows that plant does respiration also, because during daytime only the photosynthesis is taking place, where the carbon dioxide is going inside the plant, that is the leaves, and there the food is prepared. And I told you to make the carbon dioxide to enter the leaves. Okay, the bottom part of the leaves, there are small holes called as stomata. Okay, and inside the cells of the plants there are intercellular spaces. Spaces are there. The stomata and intercellular spaces. When sunlight is not there, that is during night time, the plants respire. They take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. So respiration is also done by plants. How all the other living organisms do, in the same way the plants also respire. And for respiration they require stomata and intercellular spaces. In the body itself there are few spaces between in the cells, and that space is called or between the cells, that space is called as intercellular spaces. In there the exchange of gases takes place. Oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is given out. But almost the daytime completely the plant does photosynthesis. There will be no respiration during daytime. It will only take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. This is what happens in a respiration in plants. So the respiration in plants takes place during which time? In the night time, when photosynthesis is not taking place in the plants. At that time it will respire. What it will do? Intake. What does it intake? It intakes oxygen. And what does it gives out? Gives out carbon dioxide. Same like other living beings. So came to know, respiration in plants is done through stomata and intercellular spaces. So plants like us can respire. They will intake means they will take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. It will be done during the night time, because in the night time photosynthesis does not occur. I told you to see the photosynthesis in plants, or photosynthesis is being taking place in plants only during the daytime, because light energy it requires and sun is there in the daytime only. So that is what happens in respiration in plants. What does happen in respiration in animals? Now we can say that animals can be divided into two parts, that is two divisions. One is those animals which are living in the water, and those animals which are living in the land, that is aquatic and terrestrial. Okay, aquatic animals are those which stays in the water only. So which are the aquatic animals? If we take fish is a good example of aquatic. So how do this respiration takes place in animals which are staying in the water? Okay. Now what happens? The oxygen in the air is present abundantly, but in water small amount of oxygen is dissolved in water, and that amount which is dissolved in the water should be taken by the aquatic animals, that is fish, whales. These are the aquatic animals. Octopus. Okay, these are the aquatic animals which are there. Well, let us take the example of the fish. So what happens? The fish cannot come and stay on the land its organ system or the making of the body of fish is such that it has to stay in water only. So what happens is that whatever the small amount of oxygen is dissolved in the water is taken by the fish, and the important organ which is there, gills are there. Near the mouth of the fish you will find gills. It is a very important organ for the respiration in animals. So in the gills, when the water when the water enters into the gills, what will happen? Whatever the oxygen which is dissolved in the water will be absorbed by the gills, and it will be sent to each and every cell of the body, because oxygen is needed. Why? Because energy is needed for the animals also, and energy is needed for the plants. For what purpose energy is needed for the plants? To grow. And same thing for the animals also. So the oxygen should reach each and every part of the cell, or each and every cell of the body. So that is why the gills absorb whatever the dissolved form of oxygen is there from the water, and through these cells, what happens? It is taken to the other parts of the body. So that is how the respiration takes place in aquatic animals. That is the animals which are found in water. Terrestrial. What is meant by terrestrial animals? Means which lives on land. Okay. They have organ system for respiration. So the terrestrial animals also, same what they do, the oxygen from the air, that is environment or atmosphere, the free oxygen which is there from the air, they will respire. It will reach into the body, and from there it reaches through the transportation, it reaches to each and every cell of the body, because terrestrial animals also require energy. All the living forms of energy, from microbes to human beings, big or small, all require energy, and that energy is only obtained when, just now we saw that oxidation of glucose takes place. That is, for oxidation of glucose, oxygen is required. From where the oxygen? From the environment, or the aquatic animals from the water should get the oxygen, and then only the taking in of the oxygen and giving out the carbon dioxide, we call it as respiration. So once again, let us see what happens in respiration in plants. In plants, the stomata and intercellular spaces inside the plant body, and stomata is under the leaf of the plant. These two play very important role in exchange of gases. That is, oxygen is taken through stomata and intercellular spaces, and carbon dioxide is given out through stomata and intercellular space. Ma'am, how the plants will respire? It will be taking in carbon dioxide and giving out oxygen. That is what we have been taught. Yes, that is true. But that thing will happen only in daytime, because plants are autotrophs. Green plants are autotrophs. They prepare their own food. To prepare their own food, they require carbon dioxide. So what happens? In daytime, they will take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. But in night time, photosynthesis cannot take place, because light energy is required. In night, the sunlight is not there. So during night time, the respiration is done by the plants. It takes in oxygen and gives out carbon dioxide. Then what about the animals? Yes, respiration takes place in animals also. How it will take place? Because animals are divided into according to their dwelling places. Where do they stay? It is divided into two parts: aquatic and terrestrial. Aquatic means what? Those animals which are living in the water, fish, then whale, then octopus. These are the which stays in the water. For them, which is the source of the oxygen? Water is the source of the oxygen. But very important thing is that in water, the percentage of oxygen dissolved is very, very less. And whatever that percentage of oxygen which is there, particularly in fish if you see, the important organ is the gills. Near the mouth only it has the gills. So what will happen? Through these gills, the oxygen, that is the water enters into the gills, and whatever the dissolved oxygen is there from the water is absorbed by the gills and it is transported to the other cells, and that is how the what we call respiration in animals, in aquatic animals takes place. In terrestrial, that is one which stays on the land. We are all terrestrial animals, we are staying on the land. They also require oxygen, but they are able to take the free oxygen from where? From air or atmosphere. For that they have organ system, that is respiratory system. So oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is given out. So next we will see what is the respiratory system in terrestrial animals. Now let us see how does respiration takes place in human beings. So we have special respiratory system. How for nutrition we had a digestive system. Similarly in human beings for respiration we have respiratory system. What are all the organs involved in respiratory system for respiration? Let us see the organs first. Nose, pharynx, which is called as windpipe, trachea, bronchi and lungs. Along with that, diaphragm and ribs are also there, that I will tell you while I will be explaining you the process of respiration. So, nose. It's a very important part because the atmospheric air passes through the nose, and in the nose we have two, what we call it as nostrils, the holes which are there. We have two nostrils. Through these nostrils the air passes inside, and on the walls of nostrils hairs are there. Why hairs are there? Because it will filter the atmospheric air, whatever the dust particles, whatever it is there, it will filter. And the walls of the nostrils are mucus. It is mucous membrane is there, a sticky liquid. Why? Because whatever the dust, the hair will not allow the dust to move. But it should be, so what happened, the mucus on the walls of the nostril, that dust particles, that bacteria will stick on that, the mucous membrane which is on the walls of nostril. So it filters the atmospheric air. In air we can't see the what to call it as small organism, bacteria are present. So we can all the bacteria, let me filter it. We can't do that way. So hairs and mucous membrane is there in the on the walls of the nostril to filter the air and to send the pure air. Then the nose is connected to the windpipe which is called as pharynx. So what happens? The air from the nose passes to the pharynx. Very important, remember that. Okay. Then this pharynx is connected to the trachea. It is also tube-like structure like this. Okay. So, and it is having, see over here I have it in trachea, and it is having C-shaped what we call as cartilages, because it is a tube, it should be protected. So for protection purpose, cartilages are there over there. Then further this trachea will be divided into two branches, and this branch is called as bronchi. Okay. And that bronchi, each bronchi will enter, see over here, into each lungs. So what happened? Bronchi. And after entering into the lungs, these bronchi are again divided into tube-like structures. Can you see? These tube-like structures, they are called as bronchi. Here I have already written, they are called as bronchioles. Small tube-like structure. There is a main bronchi which is further divided into small tubes which are called as bronchioles. Okay, then this bronchi and bronchioles are inside the lung. What is a lung? Lung is a very important part in the respiratory system because inside the lung only bronchi and bronchioles are there. And these bronchioles will end up, can you see over here, so many round things like this. They are nothing but they are called as alveoli. Very important organ. Alveoli. It is air sac. Another name for alveoli, it is called as air sac. Means where it will only take the air. When it takes the air, it will expand. That is, it is what you call an elastic bag like sac like structure. So this is what the respiratory organs are there in the respiratory system. So once again we have the nose. Nose have two nostrils, and inside the nose walls of the nostrils are mucus in nature, that is mucous membrane is there, and hairs are there. Why these two things are there? Because the air contains dust, bacteria, so many what you call it as small organisms. It should be filtered. Those should not enter because directly it will go to pharynx and it will enter into the lungs. So directly the unwanted substances will enter into the lungs, so it will stop, filter. Then the nose is connected to the pharynx, which is called as windpipe. The air will pass through the windpipe. Then the windpipe is connected to trachea. See, I have shown over here, this is the trachea. And then trachea gets bifurcated into two branches, entering into the each lung, which is called as bronchi. And further in the lungs, the bronchi gets divided into small tubules, which are called as bronchioles. And at the end of the bronchioles, you will find a small air sac-like structure, which is called as alveoli, or it is called as air sac. This is what the main organs in respiratory system. How does now the respiratory takes place? What happens? How does the exchange of gases takes place? So what happens over here is that from the nose, the air enters into the pharynx. From the pharynx, it enters into the trachea. From the trachea, the air bifurcates and enters into the bronchi. From the bronchi, the air enters into the bronchioles, and at the end, it enters into the air sac. So, diaphragm and ribs, I told you what happens. When the air enters into the air sacs, what will happen? Expands. So, when we take in the air, the diaphragm, which divides the chest cavity and the abdomen cavity, the diaphragm will move down because it will give space for the lungs to expand because the air sac is going to expand. So diaphragm moves down. When the air enters into the lungs, the diaphragm moves down. And what happens to the rib cage? The rib cage will move forward. So enough space is there. What is this rib cage? It is a cage which is made up of bones to protect our heart and lungs, which are very delicate part. It is protected by these ribs. So the ribs will move forward. So enough space is there for the air sacs to expand. Why the air sac should expand? Because you can see over here this blue color line, because these air sacs are connected with blood capillaries. So the walls of the blood capillaries, if this is the blood capillary and this is the air sac, the walls of the blood capillary and the walls of the air sac should come in contact with each other. Then only the exchange of gases will take place. So the air sac, so the alveoli expands. So so what happens here? The air sacs in the air contains oxygen. So it gives oxygen to the blood capillaries. From the blood capillaries, it takes carbon dioxide. So now in the air sac, the carbon dioxide is there. When all the what you call it as in both the lungs, each and every alveoli have exchanged the gases, what happens? The alveoli shrink, that is, it comes to its original size. Due to that, the diaphragm will move up and the ribs will go back to its position. And what happens? The pressure is developed on the alveoli. The alveoli pushes the what you call it as air which contains carbon dioxide into the bronchi. From the bronchi it enters into the trachea. From the trachea it enters into the windpipe, and from the windpipe it comes out through our nose, that is inhaling and exhaling. So when you inhale, the pure air will enter, reaches the lungs, exchange of gases takes place. And what happens? Now the alveoli is filled with carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide should come back. So what will happen? The alveoli will contract. Due to that, the what you call it as impure air is pushed into the bronchi. From the bronchi it is pushed into the trachea, and from the trachea you know what happens, windpipe and nose, and we exhale out the carbon dioxide. This is what the exchange of gases takes place in human beings during the respiration. That is the respiratory system. Now what happens, once again I will explain you. Till here I will explain you how the exchange takes place. So what happens over here is that when the air from the nose enters through the nose, the atmospheric air enters. We are able to take the oxygen directly from the atmosphere. We know that in the atmosphere, nitrogen is there, oxygen is there, carbon dioxide is there. So the oxygen from the air the air passes into the nose, and what happens? The nose has two nostrils, two holes are there. And the walls of the inner, that is this inner part of the nose, which are the two holes which we call it as the nostrils, and the walls of the nostrils are covered with hairs, and they are mucus, sticky in nature, mucus membrane it is having, which secretes mucus, a sticky substance. Why? Because the impurities, whatever is there in the air, will be stopped by the hairs and it will stick to the mucous membrane. Further, the air will pass to the pharynx. From the pharynx it will go to the trachea. From the trachea it will go to the bronchi. From the bronchi it will enter into the bronchioles, and from the bronchioles it will enter into the air sac. When the air enters into the air sac, that time what happens? The diaphragm will move down. So inhalation, the diaphragm moves down and the ribs come forward. So enough space is there for alveoli to expand. Why the alveoli should expand? Because to the alveoli the blood capillaries are connected, and the walls of the blood capillary and alveoli should come in contact with each other. Then only the exchange of gases takes place. So what happens? The alveoli expands and comes in contact with the wall of the capillaries. So in the capillaries the blood is flowing. So what happens? The oxygen from the alveoli is taken by the blood. In the blood, whatever the carbon dioxide is there is given to the alveoli. From all the parts of our body, these what you call it as the impure blood will come into the capillaries, and exchange of gases is there. So what happens? The oxygen is absorbed. Then after that, in both the lungs, all the alveolis, exchange of gases over, the alveoli starts contracting. So due to that contraction, what happens? The diaphragm, which were moved down, will come up, and the ribs will move backward. So what will happen? Whatever the impure air is collected in the alveoli, as the alveoli contracts, pressure develops and it passes through the bronchi, through the trachea, comes to the windpipe, and through the nose it is exhaled out. That is exhalation. So this is what two parts in respiration in human being: inhalation and exhalation. So this is how the respiration in human beings take place. Now let us see what are the functions of respiratory system. We saw what are there in the respiratory system. What are the functions of respiratory system? Allows you to talk and to smell. Nose is there. Okay. Nose is a very important part of our body. It helps us to smell whether the smell is good or whether the smell is bad. Allows you to talk, because we know that at the back of the pharynx in the windpipe there is a very important organ which helps us for talking, is your voice box, or it is called as larynx. This is situated, and in that the air should move into the voice box. So what happens? The vibration will make you to speak, and that is when from the nose, when the air enters into our body, it also enters into the larynx. And due to the vibration of the membrane of the larynx, you are able to talk. So respiratory system helps you to talk also and to smell also. Brings air to body temperature, very important. That is what the air which is there from the outside. Okay, and the air when it enters into our body, it should be as our body temperature. So whatever the extra heat which is there, it will reduce and it brings it into the normal temperature which is needed for our body. Delivers oxygen to the cells in our body, very important. Why respiratory system is there? If there is no respiratory system, what will happen? Human being cannot survive, because the food which we eat, the oxidation of the food should take place, the glucose should be broken down, then only energy is released. When the glucose will break down, when oxygen is there, how will the oxygen come? Through the respiration. So the oxygen is delivered, is given to each and every cells in our body. That is why we are able to survive. Next is removes waste gases including carbon dioxide from our body. Any other waste gases are there which are formed that can also be removed from the body along with the carbon dioxide to the respiratory system by exhaling. Protects airways from harmful substances. Which are the airways? The nose is the airways. Inside the nose, hairs are there. Already I told you, mucous membrane is there. So whatever the dust particles or unwanted particles which we are not able to see in the atmosphere is there, it will be always filtered. And what it will do, and that substance, a harmful substance, it won't allow to enter into our body. Now let us see one more topic which is called lung cancer. Nowadays, in the world, lung cancer is a very important disease. Many people are suffering from lung cancer. Our lung is a spongy organ. Okay, and in lung and inside the lung, the bronchioles are there and alveoli are there. They should be very, very important. They are the they are the very important organs which helps us for the exchange of gases, that are oxygen and carbon dioxide. In a healthy person, when you see the lungs, what will happen? The capillaries are there, so you will see what red color shows that the exchange of gases taking place, and blood capillaries are there. So that shows that it is a healthy lung. Okay, what happens? Why the lung cancer occurs? By doing what the lung cancer occurs? Smoking, a very dangerous, smoking is. The cigarette, inside a cigarette, tobacco is there. Okay, tobacco is very, very injurious. It has a nicotine, which is a toxic substance which creates toxicity. in the lungs, and wherever that smoke containing nicotine accumulates, that part of the lungs start becoming converted into black color, because nicotine is an organic substance. I told you what is an organic substance, having long chain of carbon, so it gets black color deposited in that. And what happens, the person may not survive if the lung cancer is severe. The lung cancer depends upon how many cigarettes a person is using, and more number of cigarettes if he uses in a day, then he is bound to have, or he will become very soon, a lung cancer. So always be away from the smoking. One who are smoking, they are called as active smokers. One who are not smoking but who will stand beside the smoker, and that's whatever the air which is the smoke of the cigarette mixes with the air. If you inhale that air, you will also get cancer. They are called as passive smokers. So what should be there? That is why government has made a rule. Public places, smoking should not be there. Why? In public places, people are more. So more people will be exposed to that smoking. So smoking is prohibited in public places. So there are active smokers and passive smokers. So I have given a little bit information about the lung cancer. I will stop here. Tomorrow I am going to deal with the circulatory system. It's a very, very long system. Heart explanation I have to do, and how the circulation takes place. So that I am going to explain you tomorrow. Bye children. Thank you children.